Most seniors are told the same thing: when their feet start getting cold at night, when their calves cramp at 2 in the morning, when their ankles swell by dinner, or when their legs feel heavy after a short walk, they are told, take magnesium. And listen carefully. Magnesium is not useless. It matters. It helps muscles relax. It helps nerves fire correctly. It helps vitamin D work properly. But if poor leg circulation is the real problem, magnesium may be only one small piece of a much larger puzzle. The uncomfortable truth is this: your legs may not be failing because you are getting older. Your blood vessels may be struggling because the tissue that controls circulation is missing the nutrients it needs to stay flexible, calm inflammation, manage calcium, release nitric oxide, and produce energy inside the cells that line your arteries. And the nutrient I want you to pay closest attention to, it is not even a classic vitamin in the strict textbook sense. It is a vitamin-like nutrient your body makes when you are younger, but often makes less efficiently as the years pass. Before I reveal it, I want you to do something simple. Comment your age and the symptom you notice most in your legs or feet: cold feet, night cramps, swelling, tingling, heavy legs, pain when walking. Just write your age and one symptom. I read those comments because they tell me what people are actually living with, not just what a lab report says. Now, before anyone starts ordering supplements, we need to be very clear about something. Poor circulation in the legs can be a warning sign. If you get pain in the calf, thigh, or buttock when you walk that gets better when you stop, that can be a classic clue of peripheral artery disease. If one leg suddenly becomes swollen, red, warm, or painful, that needs urgent medical attention because a blood clot is possible. If your foot changes color, becomes cold on one side, develops wounds that do not heal, or you have numbness and weakness that is new, do not try to fix that with vitamins. That is a medical evaluation situation. But there is another group of people, and this may be you. You have been told your circulation is just aging. Your feet are colder than they used to be. Your ankles puff up at the end of the day. Your legs feel tired before you feel tired. You wake up with cramps even though you drink water. You have been told to walk more, wear compression socks, and maybe take magnesium. Some of that advice may help, but it does not explain the deeper biology. Your blood vessels are not dead pipes. They are living tissue. The inside lining of your blood vessels is called the endothelium. Think of it as a smart inner skin that senses pressure, inflammation, blood flow, oxygen demand, and chemical signals. When it is healthy, it helps the vessel relax, widen, and deliver blood to your feet. When it is irritated, stiff, inflamed, or energy-starved, your legs may feel the consequences long before you understand what is happening. This is why the phrase poor circulation can be so misleading. It sounds like a plumbing problem, as if blood is simply moving too slowly. But in many older adults, circulation problems involve several systems at once. The collagen framework of the vessel wall may weaken. Calcium may deposit where it does not belong. Nitric oxide, the molecule that tells vessels to relax, may become less available. Vitamin D status may be low. Mitochondria, the tiny energy engines inside vascular cells, may not perform as strongly as they once did. And when all of those systems decline together, the result can feel like cold toes, heavy calves, swelling, cramps, or reduced walking confidence. That last word matters: confidence. Because this is not only about feet. It is about whether you feel safe walking across a parking lot. It is about whether you avoid the grocery store because your legs feel unreliable. It is about whether you stop gardening, stop traveling, stop dancing, stop going to church, or stop taking evening walks because your lower body no longer feels like something you can trust. That is why this matters. So today, I want to walk you through 5 nutrients that matter for vascular health after 60. Not as miracle cures, not as replacements for medical care, not as shortcuts around exercise, blood pressure control, diabetes care, smoking cessation, or the medications your doctor prescribed, but as evidence-informed nutritional tools that may support the systems your blood vessels depend on, and we are going to build toward the one that most supplement labels do not explain correctly. Let's begin with the vitamin. Most people think of only when cold and flu season arrives. Vitamin C. Most seniors associate vitamin C with oranges, immune support, and maybe preventing a cold. But inside your blood vessels, vitamin C has a job that is much more structural. It helps your body make collagen. Collagen is not just something in skin creams. Collagen is part of the architecture of your blood vessel walls. Your arteries and small vessels need structure, but they also need elasticity. A healthy vessel should not behave like a brittle pipe. It should behave more like a living rubber hose, able to stretch, respond, and rebound as blood moves through it. When collagen support is poor, that hose can become less flexible. And when blood vessels lose flexibility, the legs and feet often feel it first because they are farthest from the heart and must work against gravity. The National Institutes of Health describes vitamin C as essential for collagen synthesis. That word essential matters. It means your body cannot do the job properly without it. Vitamin C helps enzymes stabilize and cross-link collagen fibers. In plain English, it helps weave the fabric that keeps vessel walls strong and responsive. Here is the belief reversal. Vitamin C is not just an immune vitamin. For an older adult with cold feet, fragile skin, slow wound healing, or easy bruising, vitamin C status can matter because those are tissues that depend heavily on collagen and repair. Now, this does not mean swallowing giant doses is better. More is not automatically better. The recommended daily intake is around 90 milligrams for adult men and 75 milligrams for adult women, with higher needs in smokers. Many people can get that from food. One medium orange, a cup of strawberries, half a cup of red bell pepper, kiwi, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, or citrus can make a real contribution. For practical use, I usually want people to think food first. Put vitamin C into 2 meals instead of trying to force everything at once. Breakfast could include berries or kiwi. Dinner could include bell pepper, broccoli, or citrus. Vitamin C is water-soluble, so spreading it across the day may be gentler and more consistent than taking one large dose. If someone chooses a supplement, many adults do well with modest amounts, such as 250 milligrams once or twice daily, but people with kidney stones, kidney disease, iron overload, or sensitive stomachs should be careful and discuss it with a clinician. The pairing most people miss is copper. Vitamin C helps with collagen formation, but copper is involved in the enzymes that help cross-link collagen and elastin. You do not need extreme amounts. A small handful of cashews, a tablespoon or two of sunflower seeds, lentils, beans, or seafood can help provide copper naturally. The point is not to chase one isolated pill. The point is to build the nutritional environment your vessels need to repair and stay flexible. Now, vitamin C is the support beam. It helps the vessel wall stay resilient. But after 60, another problem becomes more common. It is not just that vessels can become weaker, they can also become stiffer. And one reason for that stiffness is calcium going to the wrong place. That brings us to vitamin K, especially the form many people know as vitamin K2, MK7. Vitamin K is famous for blood clotting, and that is one reason people on warfarin must be extremely careful with it. But vitamin K also helps activate certain proteins in the body. One of those proteins is called matrix-GLA protein. I want you to imagine matrix-GLA protein as a calcium traffic director. Its job is to help keep calcium from settling into soft tissues where it can contribute to stiffness, while calcium belongs in bones and teeth. This is where many seniors get confused. They are told to take calcium for bones. They are told to take vitamin D for calcium absorption. But the body also needs signals that help guide calcium. You do not want calcium simply absorbed. You want it managed. You want it used in the right places. When calcium deposits build up in artery walls, vessels can lose flexibility. This is called vascular calcification. It does not happen overnight, and vitamin K does not magically scrape arteries clean. That is not how biology works. But vitamin K-dependent proteins are part of the body's normal system for regulating mineralization. Several studies have investigated vitamin K status, inactive matrix-GLA protein, and arterial stiffness or calcification risk. The evidence is still developing, but the mechanism is biologically important enough that it deserves attention. For a senior who hears circulation and thinks only about blood thickness or leg muscles, this is a crucial shift. Circulation is also about the wall of the vessel. A stiff vessel cannot respond as well. It cannot widen as smoothly. It cannot buffer pressure as effectively. And when that stiffness combines with inflammation, high blood pressure, diabetes, smoking history, kidney disease, or inactivity, the legs can become the place where the whole system announces the problem. The practical detail with vitamin K2 is absorption. It is fat-soluble. That means taking it with black coffee on an empty stomach is not ideal. Fat-soluble nutrients are better absorbed with a meal that contains some fat. Eggs, olive oil, avocado, yogurt, salmon, sardines, nuts, or a normal mixed meal. Some studies of MK7 use amounts such as 180 micrograms daily, but I do not want you to treat that as a universal prescription. Vitamin K needs personalization. If you take warfarin, do not start vitamin K supplements without your prescribing clinician. Warfarin works by interfering with vitamin K pathways, and sudden changes in vitamin K intake can affect your INR and bleeding or clotting risk. If you use other blood thinners, have a clotting disorder, have kidney disease, or are preparing for surgery, ask before adding it. Now here is the synergy. Vitamin D and vitamin K are often discussed together because vitamin D helps the body make certain proteins involved in calcium handling, and vitamin K helps activate some of those proteins. Think of vitamin D as helping create the workers, and vitamin K as helping switch them on for the right task. That is simplified, but it captures the relationship. And we will come back to vitamin D in a few minutes, because this is where magnesium finally earns its place in the story. But before we get there, we need to talk about the nutrient that makes people nervous because they can feel it working. It can make the skin warm, it can create a flush, it can make a person think something is wrong. And yet, when used medically and carefully, it has one of the most direct relationships with blood vessel widening. That nutrient is vitamin B3, especially niacin. Niacin is not just one thing. The vitamin B3 family includes nicotinic acid and niacinamide, and they do not behave exactly the same. The form associated with the classic flush is nicotinic acid. That flush happens because small blood vessels in the skin widen temporarily. It may feel like warmth, redness, tingling, or itching, often starting in the face, neck, or chest. For some people it is mild. For others it is uncomfortable. Here's the belief reversal. The flush itself is not proof that your leg circulation is being fixed. It is not a badge of success. It is a visible vascular reaction, but it does not mean you should keep increasing the dose on your own. Why talk about niacin at all? Because blood vessel relaxation depends partly on signaling molecules such as nitric oxide and prostaglandins. Nitric oxide is one of the body's key chemical messages for widening blood vessels. I often describe it as the dimmer switch for the vascular system. When nitric oxide signaling is healthy, vessels can relax. Blood flow can adjust to demand. Muscles receive oxygen more efficiently. When nitric oxide availability is low, vessels may stay more constricted, and tissues downstream can feel colder, heavier, or more fatigued. Niacin has been studied for cardiovascular effects, especially lipid effects at therapeutic doses. But therapeutic dose niacin is not the same as taking a casual over-the-counter vitamin. The daily nutritional requirement is small, around 16 milligrams, niacin equivalents for adult men, and 14 for adult women. The tolerable upper intake level for niacin from supplements is much lower than many high-dose bottles on store shelves, mainly because of flushing and side effects. Prescription niacin can involve much higher doses, but that is under medical supervision, often with liver monitoring and careful attention to blood sugar, uric acid, blood pressure, and medication interactions. This is where many YouTube videos become unsafe. They make niacin sound like a simple circulation hack. It is not. People with liver disease, gout, diabetes, stomach ulcers, low blood pressure, irregular heart rhythms, or complex heart medications should not experiment with high-dose niacin. Niacin can worsen blood sugar control in some people. It can raise uric acid and trigger gout in susceptible people. It can affect the liver at higher doses. It can combine unpredictably with alcohol or certain drugs. And if you already get dizziness, faintness, or blood pressure drops, a vasodilating supplement may make that worse. So what is the practical takeaway? Do not self-dose high niacin for leg circulation. Instead, make sure you are not nutritionally low in B vitamins overall. Build B3 through foods like tuna, salmon, chicken, turkey, peanuts, mushrooms, brown rice, and fortified grains. If your doctor is treating cholesterol, triglycerides, or vascular risk and thinks niacin is appropriate, let that be a medical decision, not an internet challenge. This is the kind of clarity seniors deserve, not fear, not hype, clear boundaries. Now, we need to return to the nutrient almost everyone has heard about, but many people use incorrectly, vitamin D3. Vitamin D is commonly called a vitamin, but biologically it behaves more like a hormone precursor. Your body uses it in bone health, immune function, muscle function, and many other systems. And blood vessels have vitamin D receptors, which means vascular cells can respond to vitamin D signals. Here is the belief reversal. Vitamin D is not only about bones. In older adults, low vitamin D status may also be part of the bigger picture behind weak muscles, poor balance, inflammation, and vascular dysfunction. That does not mean vitamin D alone fixes circulation, but it does mean ignoring vitamin D while complaining about leg weakness, cramps, and cold feet may leave an important piece unchecked. The reason seniors are so often low is simple. Older skin makes vitamin D less efficiently from sunlight. Many adults spend less time outdoors. Sunscreen, winter weather, darker skin pigmentation, obesity, kidney disease, digestive disorders, and certain medications can affect vitamin D status. And unlike vitamin C, vitamin D is hard to get in large amounts from food unless you regularly eat fatty fish, fortified dairy, fortified plant milks, egg yolks, or specific fortified foods. The blood test to ask for is called 25-hydroxyvitamin D. That is the main marker used to assess vitamin D status. The National Institutes of Health notes that levels around 20 nanograms per milliliter or more are sufficient for most people, while deficiency risk rises at levels below 12 nanograms per milliliter. Some clinicians may target different ranges depending on bone health, falls risk, kidney function, medications, and overall health. But the key is this: test before you guess. Please do not hear a video online and start taking high-dose vitamin D indefinitely. Vitamin D is fat-soluble, and too much can raise calcium levels, which can harm the kidneys, affect heart rhythm, and create real problems. For adults over 70, the recommended daily intake is 800 international units, and the general adult upper limit is 4,000 international units daily, unless a clinician is supervising treatment. Some people genuinely need more for a period of time if deficient, but that should be guided by testing. Now let's bring magnesium back into the story. Magnesium is not the villain. It is not useless. It helps convert vitamin D into its active forms. It supports muscle and nerve function. It may help cramps in some people, especially if intake is low. But if you are taking magnesium and ignoring vitamin D status, calcium regulation, vascular stiffness, endothelial function, or mitochondrial energy, you may be treating only one symptom layer. For practical use, vitamin D3 is usually best taken with a meal that contains fat, not with black coffee, not on an empty stomach if you can avoid it. A normal breakfast with eggs, yogurt, avocado, olive oil, or nuts can work. If you take magnesium, many people tolerate magnesium glycinate better than some other forms, but people with kidney disease must be cautious because the kidneys help regulate magnesium. Too much magnesium from supplements can cause diarrhea, weakness, low blood pressure, and problems in people with reduced kidney function. So the practical phrase is simple: test vitamin D, do not guess, use magnesium as a partner, not a magic answer, and always match supplements to your health conditions and medications. Now we have built the foundation. Vitamin C supports collagen. Vitamin K helps activate calcium-regulating proteins. B3 connects to vascular relaxation but requires caution. Vitamin D helps broader vascular, muscle, and inflammatory signaling, with magnesium as a partner. But none of those fully answers the question many seniors ask me: why do my legs feel like the batteries are running out? That question leads to the nutrient I want you to remember most. It is called coenzyme Q10, or CoQ10. And technically, it is not a classic vitamin. It is a vitamin-like compound. Your body makes it, and your cells use it constantly. But production and tissue levels can be affected by age, genetics, health conditions, and medications. CoQ10 sits at the center of mitochondrial energy production. Let me make that simple. Every cell in your blood vessel lining has mitochondria. These mitochondria are tiny energy engines. They help vascular cells do their job, respond to stress, manage oxidative burden, support nitric oxide signaling, repair damage, and maintain normal function. If mitochondria are struggling, the cell may become more inflamed, less responsive, and more vulnerable to oxidative stress. CoQ10 is like the engine oil inside that system. It is not the gasoline, it is not the steering wheel, but without it, the energy machinery does not run smoothly. The mitochondria can still operate, but the system becomes less efficient and more stressed. Over time, that may matter for tissues with high energy needs, including the heart, muscles, nerves, and blood vessel lining. This is why CoQ10 has been studied in cardiovascular health, heart failure, statin-associated muscle symptoms, endothelial function, and oxidative stress. The evidence is not a magic wand. It is not a replacement for walking, blood pressure treatment, diabetes control, cholesterol management, or vascular care. But biologically, CoQ10 is one of the most interesting nutrients for older adults because it touches the energy system behind circulation. Here is the part most supplement labels never explain. After 65, the form of CoQ10 may matter almost as much as the dose. CoQ10 comes in two main supplemental forms, ubiquinone and ubiquinol. Ubiquinone is the oxidized form. Ubiquinol is the reduced form. Your body can convert between them, but older adults may not convert as efficiently as younger adults, especially in the presence of oxidative stress or chronic illness. That is why many clinicians prefer ubiquinol for older adults, particularly if they have absorption problems, fatigue, statin use, or cardiovascular concerns. Now, I want to be careful. Ubiquinol is not automatically superior for every person in every situation. Some people do fine with ubiquinone. Quality, dose, meal timing, and consistency also matter. But if someone over 65 says, "I tried CoQ10 and felt nothing," one of the first questions I ask is, what form did you take, what dose, and did you take it with fat? Because CoQ10 is fat-soluble, taking it with water on an empty stomach can waste the opportunity. It is better absorbed with a meal containing fat. Eggs, olive oil, avocado, nuts, sardines, salmon, yogurt, or another normal meal with dietary fat. For many older adults, common supplemental amounts range from 100 to 200 milligrams daily. Some medical studies use higher amounts, but higher is not automatically better, and anyone with multiple medications should ask before changing the dose. The statin issue deserves special attention. Statins reduce cholesterol production by inhibiting an enzyme in the same pathway involved in the body's CoQ10 production. That does not mean statins are bad. Statins can be life-saving for the right person. They reduce cardiovascular risk in many high-risk patients. But some statin users experience muscle aches, weakness, or fatigue, and CoQ10 has been studied for that reason. Evidence is mixed, but the mechanism is plausible enough that many clinicians will discuss CoQ10 with selected patients. Please do not stop a statin because of a video. Do not lower your dose without your prescriber. If you have muscle symptoms, leg weakness, or new pain after starting or changing a statin, tell your doctor. They may check creatine kinase, thyroid function, vitamin D, medication interactions, or consider a different statin or dosing plan. CoQ10 may be part of the conversation, but it should not replace medical management. CoQ10 also has important cautions. It may interact with warfarin. It may affect blood sugar management in people using insulin or diabetes medications. It may not be appropriate with certain cancer treatments. It can cause digestive upset or insomnia in some people. If you are on blood thinners, chemotherapy, diabetes drugs, blood pressure medication, or you are preparing for surgery, do not treat CoQ10 like candy. Now let's connect this back to your legs. If your feet are cold, your calves cramp, or your legs feel heavy, most people think only about the large arteries. And yes, large arteries matter, plaque matters, peripheral artery disease matters. But the small vessels and the endothelial lining also matter. The ability of a vessel to relax depends on energy, nitric oxide signaling, oxidative balance, and inflammation control. CoQ10 supports mitochondrial energy and antioxidant defense. That is why it belongs in this conversation. A helpful way to think about this is the three-layer model of leg circulation after 60. The first layer is structure, that is collagen, vessel wall flexibility, and mineral balance. Vitamin C and vitamin K live here. The second layer is signaling, that is nitric oxide, inflammation, and hormonal regulation. B vitamins, vitamin D, magnesium, exercise, and blood sugar control live here. The third layer is energy, that is mitochondria, that is CoQ10, that is the cell's ability to keep doing the work hour after hour, day after day. If you only work on one layer, you may miss the others. That is why someone can take magnesium and still have cold feet. It is why someone can take vitamin D and still feel heavy legs. It is why someone can buy circulation socks but still struggle with walking stamina. The body is not a single switch, it is a network. Now, there is one more nutrient-like compound often paired with CoQ10 in mitochondrial discussions, PQQ, which stands for pyrroloquinoline quinone. PQQ is found in small amounts in foods such as kiwi, parsley, green peppers, and fermented foods. It has been studied for mitochondrial signaling and oxidative stress. Some early research suggests it may support mitochondrial biogenesis, which means the creation of new mitochondria, but I want to keep this grounded. The evidence in humans is not as strong as the marketing often claims, so I would not call PQQ essential for everyone. I would call it interesting. If CoQ10 helps the mitochondria you already have run more efficiently, PQQ is often discussed as a compound that may support the body's signals for mitochondrial renewal. But again, may support is the honest phrase. Do not turn it into a miracle. And if you are on medications, ask first. The most powerful mitochondrial strategy is still not a supplement, it is movement. Gentle, repeated walking is one of the best signals for improving circulation capacity. In people with peripheral artery disease, supervised or structured walking programs are a cornerstone of care because muscles and vessels adapt to repeated demand. The magic is not intensity, it is consistency. Here is a practical senior protocol that respects safety. If your doctor has cleared you to walk, start with 5 to 10 minutes after a meal, once or twice a day. Walk at a pace where you can speak but not sing. If you get mild fatigue, slow down. If you get chest pain, severe shortness of breath, dizziness, sudden weakness, or leg pain that is intense or unusual, stop and seek medical guidance. Over weeks, add time gradually. The goal is not to punish your legs. The goal is to teach your circulation system that your lower body still needs blood flow. Pair that walking habit with protein at meals, hydration earlier in the day, blood pressure control, blood sugar control, and the nutrients we discussed. That is how you build a realistic plan. Now let's bring all 5 together in a way you can actually use. Vitamin C supports collagen, the structural fabric of blood vessels. Get it from citrus, berries, kiwi, bell peppers, broccoli, and Brussels sprouts. Pair it with copper-rich foods like cashews, sunflower seeds, lentils, beans, or seafood. Vitamin K2, especially MK7, helps activate proteins involved in calcium handling. It may support vascular stiffness research, but it is not for casual use if you take warfarin or have clotting concerns. Take fat-soluble nutrients with a meal containing fat. Vitamin B3 is connected to vascular signaling, but high-dose niacin is medical territory. Do not chase the flush. Do not self-dose high amounts. Get B vitamins from food and use therapeutic niacin only with clinician guidance. Vitamin D3 matters for muscles, bones, immune function, and vascular signaling, but you need the 25-hydroxy vitamin D blood test. Do not guess. Do not push high doses indefinitely. Take it with fat. And remember, magnesium helps vitamin D metabolism, which is where magnesium belongs in this story. CoQ10 is the vitamin-like nutrient that supports mitochondrial energy. If you are over 65, the form, timing, and medication context matter. Ubiquinol may be easier for some older adults to use. Take CoQ10 with a fat-containing meal, and speak with your clinician if you take statins, warfarin, diabetes medication, blood pressure medication, or cancer treatment. But even this recap is not the real message. The real message is that your legs are not separate from the rest of your health. Cold feet can be about vessels. Heavy legs can be about muscles, veins, arteries, nerves, or heart and kidney status. Swelling can be vascular, venous, lymphatic, medication-related, cardiac, renal, or inflammatory. Night cramps can involve hydration, electrolytes, medications, nerve irritation, muscle fatigue, or circulation. That is why a responsible plan does not begin with one pill. It begins with asking better questions. Here are the questions I would bring to a doctor if I were sitting in your chair. Ask, should I be checked for peripheral artery disease with an ankle brachial index? That is a simple circulation test comparing blood pressure in the ankle and arm. Ask, could my swelling be related to veins, heart function, kidneys, medication, or salt intake? Ask, should we test 25-hydroxy vitamin D, B12, kidney function, A1C, thyroid function, lipids, and markers related to anemia? Ask, could any of my medications contribute to cramps, swelling, cold feet, or weakness? Calcium channel blockers can cause ankle swelling in some people. Diuretics can affect electrolytes. Statins can be associated with muscle symptoms in some people. Diabetes medications, blood pressure, drugs, and sleep medications can all change how the body feels. And ask, what walking plan is safe for me? Not everyone should jump into a hard exercise routine, but almost everyone deserves a movement plan that matches their health. If you are listening right now and your feet are cold at night, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not helpless. If your legs feel heavy, you are not broken. If you have started avoiding walks because you are afraid your legs will fail you, there may be steps you can take. But the steps need to be smart. They need to be medically aware. They need to treat your circulation as a living system, not a plumbing pipe. Start with the basics that move the needle for almost every older adult. Stop smoking if you smoke. Control blood pressure. Control blood sugar. Treat high cholesterol if your doctor recommends it. Walk consistently if cleared. Elevate legs when swelling is venous, and your clinician says it is appropriate. Use compression only if it is safe for your arterial circulation. Eat protein. Eat colorful plants. Get enough fluids earlier in the day. Sleep. And then use targeted nutrients to support the systems that remain undernourished or undertested. That is the difference between a gimmick and a plan. A gimmick says, take this one thing and your legs are fixed. A plan says, let's identify which part of the vascular system is struggling and support it correctly. A gimmick ignores danger signs. A plan knows when to call the doctor. A gimmick blames age. A plan respects biology. And biology is where the hope is. Your blood vessels are living tissue. Living tissue can respond. Muscles can adapt. Mitochondria can be supported. Deficiencies can be corrected. Risk factors can be treated. Walking capacity can improve. Confidence can return in small steps, then bigger steps. So the next time someone tells you, just take magnesium, you will know the fuller truth. Magnesium may help, but it is not the whole story. Vitamin C supports the collagen framework. Vitamin K helps manage calcium signals. Vitamin B3 connects to vascular relaxation but must be handled carefully. Vitamin D belongs in the conversation, especially when tested properly. And CoQ10, the vitamin-like mitochondrial nutrient, may be one of the most overlooked pieces for older adults who feel like their legs have lost energy. Your cold feet, your cramps, your swelling, your heavy legs, these are not just signs of getting older. They may be signals. Signals from your vessels, signals from your muscles, signals from your nerves, signals from your mitochondria, signals asking you to look deeper. If this helped you, comment the word circulation below. That tells me you want a simple doctor-style checklist of what to ask your physician about poor leg circulation after 60. Also tell me which symptom you deal with most: cold feet, swelling, cramps, heavy legs, or pain when walking. Share this with someone over 60 whose feet are always cold at night, or who has started walking less because their legs no longer feel dependable. And subscribe, because the goal here is not to scare you. The goal is to help you understand your body well enough to protect your independence, your mobility, and your confidence for the years ahead.